actually kind of the first time I've been honest, besides being honest, with my attorneys. Even that, I haven't been completely honest with them. So.
And you're still not being honest, Gypsy. What's up, everybody? Carolina Girl here. Welcome back to my channel. It's Thursday, May 21st, 2026. I hope everyone's had a great week so far. We are on the horizon of the weekend. I think it's supposed to be rainy here all weekend, but to be honest, I've been praying to the rain gods. We need some rain. And so it was supposed to start raining, I think, tonight through Saturday. So we'll see what happens. But I'm not really here to talk to you guys about the weather. I'm here to talk to you about Gypsy. This isn't new content, but I've been wanting to make this video for a while because I always refer to it. And so I felt like I wanted to put it all in kind of one video so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. But when I made my very first video, it was back in August 2025. And I think that Gypsy watched that video and she replied to it going on Breeze Live. It was about 3 weeks to a month after I made my video. I'm wanting to say, like I said, I made my video in August 2025, and it was towards the end of September, beginning of October that she went on Breeze Live, and it seemed like she covered everything that I talked about in my video. And she also says some creator. She refers to me as some creator because I was fairly new to the scene. I wasn't really new to the scene as far as this case or the community. I was a spectator. I was in the chats. I supported all the other content creators, but I didn't make my own content until August. And so I wasn't really known as a content creator, or I wasn't really known, period, to be honest with you. And so this first clip I want to show you has to do, and I'm going to go in order from the very first video. The first video was Justice for Dee Dee, Gypsy Rose Exposed, and I'm going to go in order as far as the topics of that video. And the first topic was, towards the beginning, it was about how I was calling her out regarding the abuse. And I didn't think, Gypsy said anything to Nick about abuse. That part bothered me because he says he feels a lot of guilt because Dee Dee was a good mom. I have a question, because if Dee Dee was a good mom, how was she this mean abuser? I mean, was Dee Dee this abuser, or was she a good mom? Because you can't be both, right? I mean, Nick never mentions any abuse in his interrogation. I really believe he would have mentioned it had Gypsy told him she was being abused. It's my opinion that there wasn't any abuse. Neither Gypsy nor Nick ever mentioned it in their interrogation. I feel like had Gypsy told Nick that she was being abused by Dee Dee because of his condition, his mental state, he would have said something to Detective Mahali, and he didn't. And I also don't think he would have called Dee Dee a good mom had Gypsy been being abused by her. So I wanted to, the reason why I think Gypsy watched my video is because, like I said, she referred to me as some creator. And to my knowledge, I don't think any of the other creators at this particular time, I don't think any of the other creators really had called her out saying that I don't think she said this to Nick or whatever. And it had to do with the fact that for the longest time we were sold that, he was her savior. He was rescuing her from this bad environment, and he was her knight in shining armor and blah, 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 blah. But then when you watch the interrogations, there's nothing about that. I mean, there's nothing about him rescuing her from a bad situation or him being her knight in shining armor. It was just so they could be together. And so this is Gypsy's response to what I had to say about the abuse part.
And a creator had pointed out, never did I ever tell Nick I'm being abused, because I didn't grow up thinking it was abuse. I'm a weird fucking mom.
So she says here that she didn't think it was abuse. She just thought she had a weird mom. I'm not going to repeat word for word what she just said. You heard what she said, but she said she had a weird mom, and that's her story there. which I think is just ridiculous. But I did its own video on it. If you're interested and when you'd like to go watch it, it's titled "Gypsy Never Told Nick About Abuse," and so that's a video dedicated to that particular subject in itself. And so this next clip that I want to play for you had to do with medical malpractice. I covered that too in this video, and so I wanted to play that, and then I'm going to play what Gypsy's response is to it. I started looking back into this case. I wondered why, if she had been medically abused, why haven't the doctors or hospitals been held accountable? I looked to see if she had sued any of the providers that treated her and came across this article that was published June 2017. Christy was doing an interview, I guess, to promote Mommy Dead and Dearest. Christy is Gypsy's stepmother. So it says, have any doctors faced repercussions for treating Gypsy and not discovering she was not actually ill? Have any systemic changes been made in law and healthcare to ensure this can't happen again? And Christy said, we're in the works with that right now. We reached out to a few lawyers that work in malpractice. None of them want to touch it. They reject us every time. But maybe now that the documentary is out, they'll get to see it. They'll think differently. So we're in the process of trying to find that lawyer that's going to want to take this case on. I mean, like Dr. Bernardo Flasterstein, it kind of made me angry that he didn't want to report it. And like he said, Gypsy wasn't being abused. She was being overtreated. To me, it's the same thing. You're overtreating a child. So here, Christy admitted that they had been to a few attorneys that handled malpractice, but none of them wanted to take the case. They were rejected every time. It seems to me that if Gypsy had all these unnecessary medical treatments and procedures, these lawyers would be beating down her door to take this case. Now, this is the doctor that Christy is referring to in this interview. He states Dee Dee was overtreating Gypsy. He gives this interview in her Mommy Dead and Dearest documentary.
Report patients to social services. We do that when we feel that there's a neglect. But a neglect is different what this mom was doing. She wasn't really neglecting her. She was over treating her.
This was a screenshot provided to me that was taken sometime after Gypsy was released from prison in December 2023. It says, I hope that a good lawyer gets with Gypsy and they sued the crap out of every single doctor that prescribed medication and or did unnecessary surgery on her. That's what baffles me the most about this whole thing. How can a doctor perform a surgery on someone that doesn't even need it? And Christy responded, this is Christy and Rod Blanchard. That's one thing we did and still wonder about. Rod and I have tried to find a lawyer to go after them, and none of them wanted to take this case on. We will see if Gypsy can do something about it. I took this screenshot on one of Gypsy's TikTok posts where someone asked about suing for medical malpractice, and this was her response. She said, I'm so sorry that the system failed you. Is there legal action against these hospitals you can take? And Gypsy responded, I am looking into it. Unfortunately, it cost a lot of money that I don't have. People are misled to believe I have millions and I maybe have 15,000 to my name. Her comment led me to believe she really didn't look into medical malpractice, so I commented on her post. I explained that I worked in the legal field many moons ago, and what she said simply wasn't true. She wouldn't need to provide any of her money up front. Most, if not all, medical malpractice attorneys are free consultation. Then if they agree to take her case, their fee is based on whatever she would be awarded. She doesn't pay any money up front. The law firm would fit the bill. If she didn't win, it would be no cost to her and the law firm would eat the cost. Normally, they only take cases, though, that they know they can either win or settle. So she deleted my comment and eventually shut comments off on that post, and then eventually deleted the whole post. So my guess is they couldn't find an attorney to take this case on because there wasn't a case. I would think it would be a multi-million-dollar lawsuit if Gypsy's claims were true, but none of the malpractice malpractice attorneys wanted to touch this case. That doesn't make sense to me. Now the statute of limitations is up. In Missouri, there's a 2-year statute of limitations, and in Louisiana, there's a 1 to 3 year statute of limitations. There can be special circumstances taken into consideration, but I mean, it's been 10 years now. So I really think that ship has sailed. But this is a screenshot of some information I looked up on medical malpractice, kind of showing how it works. So and so this next clip that I'm going to play for you is Gypsy's response to that.
Sue the doctors. Well, the thing is like I didn't even think about statute of limitations. It was a big deal to me when I was in prison, and I've always just been so damn busy. Like in prison, I was in school. I was trying to get my GED. I did, I had a few phone calls with Christy where she and Dad went looking for an attorney. Christy told me that she didn't get a phone call back from any of the attorneys that she had reached out to. And then later, Christy would do interviews, and she said, I reached out to attorneys. They said they wouldn't touch the case. Now, I believe Christy. Was I there to confirm that information? No, I believe Christy.
Gypsy, but you go ahead and finish. I'll tell you also.
But that's just, that's what I was told. And then after that, I kind of just was like, you know what? It's not going to give me my salivary glands back. It's not going to give me those years that I could have been running around in the yard back. So what gain do I have? Most of the doctors are too old and retired now to even sue. What does it matter? Like, I have a kid now. I have a life now. I'm 34 years old. If they're retired, then good. They ain't going to do it to anybody else. What's the point in suing them now?
Well, you know what?
And just to be clear, she can't sue now. I mean, now the ship has sailed. The problem was, she needed to sue back when she first went to prison. But see, Bree, the answer every time somebody ask why Gypsy didn't sue for medical malpractice, Bree's answer is statute of limitations. And technically she's correct. The statute of limitations is up and has been up. But for Gypsy and her situation, if what she says is true, which we all know it's not true, but if it was true, and it was actually Munchausen's by proxy, technically, Gypsy wouldn't have found out until Mike told her, right? And so that would have been sometime in 2015, 2016. We'll just go with 2016. Say 2016 is when he kind of figured it all out, right? And, he says, hey, your mom had Munchausen's by proxy or whatever. I mean, so it would have actually started from that time. She would have had a year from 2016 to file a medical malpractice suit. And as long as she filed within that year time or 2-year time, whatever the statute of limitations was up, depending on if she was suing in Missouri or Louisiana, as long as she sued within that period of time, she could wait till the very last minute to sue. But as long as she sued within that 1-year period or that 2-year period, it could take 10 years. But as long as she filed her lawsuit before the statute of limitations was up, she would be good. It would be grandfathered in. She would be good to go. But she didn't do it because you heard her, folks. She was just too damn busy to file a multi-million-dollar lawsuit, because had she, if she was telling the truth about all this unnecessary medical stuff and these doctors just jumped through hoops because Dee Dee told them to, that would have been a multi-million-dollar lawsuit, people. And let me tell you, let me ask you, would you sue for multi-million dollars if that was your situation and you could prove it? I mean, because that's been the story we've been sold for the last 10.5 years. Am I not mistaken? Am I mistaken or am I not mistaken on that? Because I believe that's what we've been sold for the last 10 and a half years, is that, that she's had all these unnecessary medical procedures, that Dee Dee just could go in and wave a magic wand and say, I want this done, I want that done, and they just jump through hoops to do it. And I've actually got a video out, that I've already done on this subject too, and it's called Just Too Busy to Sue for Medical Malpractice. And I wanted to go over Gypsy's prison schedule. I want to show you how busy she was in prison so that she couldn't sue. Wrong one. I'm sorry. Wrong thing. That's the wrong thing, too. I didn't add it. Hold on 1 second, people. I'm sorry. Here we go. So this was Gypsy's prison schedule while she was in prison. So 7:30 a.m. count time. We sat up in our bunks and turned the lights on. Corrections officer, COs for short, accounted for all inmates. This took about 15 to 20 minutes, after which I went back to sleep. 10:30 a.m. She got down from her top bunk, clicked on her TV, made a cup of coffee. With coffee in hand, she headed to the day room. She said sometimes I made phone calls, but they were really short before I earned time and privileges. Then I'd go back to my room, look at my locker, pick from my canteen items, make mac and cheese or some other processed packaged food, like ramen noodles, and go back to the day room. At 1:30, we'd have recreation time. I'd like to work out on the elliptical machine for about an hour. I'd come back to the housing unit. I'd shower, and by the time I was out dressed, it was around 3 p.m. At 3 p.m., I went to work. I took out the trash, swept, mopped, changed toilet paper rolls, and so on. At 4:30, count time again. We returned to our rooms and sat on our bunks until the COs finished. At between 5 and 10 p.m., it was free time for phone use or other things like reading or playing games or studying. I was able to get my GED while at Chillicothe. Folks, do you know it took her the whole entire 8.5 years to get her damn GED, according to the prison emails? I mean, look, I'm not knocking GEDs. I have one myself, because I was actually married at 17. I dropped out my senior year of high school like a dumbass. And so I had to go get my GED. And you know how long it took me? A damn day. It took her 8.5 years. Anyway, at 10 p.m., it was count time and it was time for bed. So that was her, how busy she was in prison, that she couldn't sue for a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. And I'm telling you, I mean, come on now. Actually, instead of me telling you, y'all tell me what you think about this. Because if I had all this unnecessary medical procedures done, and, I could prove my mom just walked into these medical providers' offices and said, hey, I want this done. I want that done. You need to do this. I want, she needs to have a feeding tube. In fact, let me put the feeding tube myself. Just give it to me, put me in the OR and let me go at it. I'll do it my damn self. That's just that's the way they make it sound. Like Dee Dee had all this power, and it just is ridiculous to me. It's just absolutely ridiculous to me. So you guys tell me what you think about it. And so this next clip that I want to play for you had to do with her microdeletion. Let me get this down off the screen.
Prison, her medical records were leaked on social media, and the internet sleuths dissected those records and discovered that Gypsy had an interstitial deletion of chromosome 1q21.1. This is a summary of what that is.
The summary is the 1q21.1 microdeletion syndrome is a chromosome abnormality where a segment of genetic material on the long arm, or Q arm, of chromosome 1 in position 21.1 is missing or deleted. Some people with this deletion have no observable features, while others have variable findings that can include a small head, microcephaly, developmental delay, speech and motor delays, mild intellectual disability, distinctive facial features, and eye abnormalities. Other findings can include seizures as well as abnormalities of the heart, skeleton, and urinary system. Psychiatric and behavioral features can include autism spectrum disorder, anxiety and mood disorders, schizophrenia, attention deficit hyperactive disorder, and sleep disorders. This syndrome is caused by a deletion in a specific region of 1q21.1, which is distinct from the deletion region that causes TAR syndrome. So social media and the content creators started sharing this information. Gypsy finally came forward, admitted she had the deletion, but denied having any effects from it. And so this is Gypsy's response to that. It's part of it.
Was for me to go see a genetic specialist, because the genetic specialist that I had seen like a couple months ago was able to even pinpoint down to the molecular count of where I'm affected and know what affects me. Like from this 2 point whatever to this 9 point whatever. I'm just throwing out numbers right now because I don't have the forms in front of me or the documents in front of me. But the genetic specialist is so trained to understand the human body in the way that they can read this point system and know exactly what affects what, such as microcephaly, a smaller head. I'm affected by that. A lazy eye, I'm affected by that. But when it comes to mental slowness, however people say it these days, I'm not affected by it. And all it would have taken was a genetic specialist to look at those results
Or
and see,
Uh-huh.
okay, you're not affected by this.
So Gypsy claims, had her mom taken her to a genetic specialist back in the day, all this could have been avoided. And, you know, she was born in 1991, and back then technology just wasn't what it is today. Okay. I mean, medicine, technology, period, has come so far. I mean, in 1991, we didn't even have the internet yet. Google wasn't around. The internet wasn't around. We actually had to go outside and play. That was before, if you had a driver's license, you actually had to go outside and play or walk to, you know, a friend's house to entertain yourself or whatever the case was. If you had a driver's license, then you kind of just went and hung out wherever, you know. The video games, it wasn't like a really big thing. I think we had Nintendo back then, but all these PlayStations and stuff, we didn't have PlayStation back then. And so the technology just wasn't there, is what I'm getting at. And all it would have taken for Gypsy is to just use Google or Bree, for that matter, or whoever, you know, because they sat there and they were listening to her. Nobody wanted to correct her on it. But, you know, as far as her microdeletion is concerned, and I did a video on this to get really into it, and it's actually in 2 parts. It's called Gypsy's Microdeletion Part 1 and Part 2. And so with her microdeletion, number one, testing, the first case of the 1Q21.1 wasn't ever discovered until 2008. And so, like I said, had Bree or Gypsy or whoever Googled her condition, her microdeletion, they would have learned this, that the very first case of it wasn't discovered until 2008. And as far as testing made available to the public, it wasn't available until 2011. And so when was Gypsy discovered or diagnosed with the 1Q21.1? It was 2011. And so it seems to me, and in fact, I'm wanting to say it was February 2011. And so it was early on in 2011 when she was diagnosed with the 1Q21.1. And so not only did Gypsy get tested right when it was made available in 2011. She was one of the very first ones to be, well, of course, the very first one was discovered in 2008, but she was one of the very first ones to be tested, documented, diagnosed, and documented with the 1Q21.1. Okay, and that was in 2011. So she was one of the first ones to be tested, diagnosed, and documented with the 1Q21.1. And as of 2024, and that was 13 years since testing's been made available. So in 13 years, as of 2024, there's only been 102 people that's been, diagnosed with the 1Q21.1. And Gypsy is one of those 102 people. And so it just aggravates me when she makes idiotic statements like that and up there on a live and nobody corrects her. They just sit there, and that's what I call yes people or yes men. Yep, 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 yep. Whatever you say, Gypsy, whatever you say. Because what she was saying, I mean, it's correct. You could probably go to a genetic specialist now and they can probably pinpoint things. But back when she was born and she was having all these issues and symptoms, they couldn't do that. And that's another thing with the microdeletion. This microdeletion that she has, the 1Q21.1, there's 47 symptoms to this 1Q21.1. And it doesn't mean she's going to have all 47 symptoms. She might be affected with only a few symptoms, like now. She currently has 6 symptoms that I can prove that she suffers from, either by looking at her or by documentation, her documentation. And so, and like I said, I've got a video. I've already gone through all this. I don't want to get into it now, but it's called Gypsy's Microdeletion Part 1 and Part 2. There's 2 parts because it's so extensive when it comes to her microdeletion. So I don't really want to get into it. But yeah, had she done her research, she would have known that Dee Dee got her tested as soon as it was made available to her. And so this next clip that I want to play for you has to do with Barbie dolls. She tells people she wasn't allowed to play with Barbie dolls, that Dee Dee wouldn't let her. Here is a screenshot that was provided to me. Recently, Gypsy was selling some of the baby stuff online, and someone inquired about a baby stroller, but changed their mind because they said Gypsy's story kept changing and that she seemed flaky. This was Gypsy's reply to the person. My story never shifts. People twist verbiage. For example, I talked about how my mom chained me to the bed. Then I will say tied. Then they say, well, was it with a chain, a dog leash, a rope? To me, chain means all of those words mean the same thing, but they trip off of the verbiage. Then another example, in my book, I explain how when I was much younger, I explained how my mother didn't want me to play with Barbies, but then they show a picture of me at 14 with a Barbie in my hand. Okay, more details need to be told. My mother didn't let me play with Barbies when I was 6 or 7. So this was the picture she's talking about, where she's about, 13 here. She's holding a Barbie. And then Dee Dee's got one. It looks like she's holding one that's unwrapped, or that's wrapped, excuse me. So she says that more details need to be told. She said her mother, didn't let her play with Barbies when she was 6 or 7. It wasn't until she was 13 or 14 that she was allowed to play with Barbies. But then I find this picture. She's got a basket of Barbies and dolls to the left of her. There's a Barbie doll laying to the right of her where the Lifetime logo is in the bottom right-hand corner. That's a Barbie doll. And so, I don't know. I need to continue to read this because it's kind of important. So, okay, more details need to be told. My mother didn't let me play with Barbies when I was 6 or 7. It wasn't until I was 13 or 14 that she allowed me to play with Barbies. So you see how details matter for some things and don't for others? Again, she's lying here because I just showed you pictures of her at different ages with Barbie dolls. Okay, so this next clip that I'm going to play for you has to do with her replying about, or her and Bree talking about Barbie dolls.
Like the Barbie thing. So when people are like, yeah, you said that your mom didn't let you play with Barbies, but then show a picture of me holding a Barbie. Okay, well, there's more detail to that. So my mom didn't let me play with Barbies when I was, 4 and 5 and 6, but then let me start playing with Barbies when I was 10, 11, 12, because at 10, 11, 12, that's when girls typically start getting into makeup. They start getting into boys, the
And so that was the absolute dumbest excuse I've ever heard as far as regarding being able to play with Barbies or not. But I've done another video regarding that. It's a little bit more extensive video. It's one of my more recent videos, actually. But it was called, "Was Gypsy Allowed to Play with Barbie Dolls?" And like I said, I get into it a little bit further with that video. But I mean, it was the dumbest excuse I've ever heard regarding her being able to play with Barbies. And so this last clip that I want to play for you has to do with, well, it's not a last clip because I've got to play her response, but we're getting towards the end. But it's going to happen to do with birthday cakes, birthday parties, birthday candles. And so here we go. So I also have a clip of a podcast here that her and her ex-husband Ryan did when they were still together, March 15th, 2024. She was on Talk is Jericho. She stated that she never had a cake with numbered candles or candles
Keeping my
on
own
it.
age from me.
That's crazy, yeah.
Because
It's
when I
insane.
was little, growing up, we didn't use the numbered candles. Like, that was not a thing in my home.
Okay, right.
So when it came around that it was my birthday, she would wish me happy birthday, but she wouldn't tell me how old I was. And then if I'd overhear it, I would confront her. I would ask her, I'm like, Mom, I thought that I was turning 13, today.
So here is a picture. The first picture I have of Gypsy is with a birthday cake with a numbered candle on it. And that looks like a number 8 to me, but I'm really not, and I can't really tell, but it does look like a number 8 to me. And the second picture of Gypsy is with a birthday cake with candles on it. And I counted the candles, and it seemed like there was 10, maybe 11 candles on the cake. But I mean, there's her numbered cake and candles. And yeah, it's 2 pictures, but still, she said she didn't have them. Clearly she did. And so this is Gypsy's response to that clip.
Birthday candles, stupid shit like that.
Yeah, birthday candles. Like, haven't they given to think that the birthday parties that I had, I feel like was for other people? If they had candles on the birthday cake, it wasn't because my mom said, hey, you are this old. It was because, hey, we're having a party where a lot of people are going to be invited. And, at an age, that stopped. So, like, I really didn't have numbers on my candles after, like, 13.
That's like the dumbest story. I don't know. What is the dumbest story to you guys? Is it this story or the Barbie doll story? I think it's this story. This story really has to take the cake because she's like, yeah, I went to parties, but I didn't know they were for me, even though I was blowing out the candles. Yeah, I mean, come on now. She really thinks everybody's dumb, and that includes the people that support her because they sat, like I said, they sat right up there listening to this dumb stuff and didn't correct her. They just sat there, yeah, Gypsy, yeah, whatever you say, Gypsy. And see, I'm not a yes person. Never was, never will be. And I just don't know how anybody, I don't care, be your friend. I don't care. I really don't care about that. I'm just saying, I don't know how at this point anybody could really support her story knowing what's come out, and the fact that she lies about, if she lies about little stuff, you don't think she's lying about why she murdered her mom? I strongly believe she is lying about why she murdered her mother. Has nothing to do with abuse, has nothing to do with Munchausen's by proxy. But will we ever know the truth on why she actually did it? Probably not. We suspect why she did it. But will we ever know the actual truth? No. No, we won't ever know the truth. But the truth isn't what she's been putting out for the last 10 and a half years. I can tell you that. And I am working on a video behind the scenes. A friend of mine over there on TikTok went out to Jameson. I actually posted a live that she did over on TikTok yesterday that she put out a lot of information. It's a lot of information, from the Facebook groups that existed back in 2015, and one of them still exists. And a lot of that information, the family, when this group first popped up, the family, Christy was in there, the Dee Dee sisters were in there, Dee Dee's friends in Missouri were in there, Bobby Petrie was in there. I mean, everybody was in this group when it first originated. It popped up, I think it was 2 days after Dee Dee was discovered dead in her bed. And so she's got a lot of information, and I'm honored to say she, shared this information with me. And so I have been working behind the scenes on a video, and it's going to be, kind of probably an extensive video. And so that's why I wanted to go ahead and put this video out. And I am working on this other one. And I did a poll on my YouTube channel yesterday for 24 hours, and I posted 2 thumbnails because I was having a hard time deciding what I wanted to title my video, the next one that's going to be coming out, and which thumbnail I wanted to use. So I let you guys decide. And so that is going to be the title of my next video that I'm working on. And I am going to hopefully put it out soon. And like I said, I am going to be working. Hopefully it's going to be rainy here for the next few days. And so that'll give me some time to hopefully get it finished up, get it in order, and get it put out. So as always, I appreciate everybody that supports my channel. I have seen an influx of people come in, new people come in, and I greatly appreciate you subscribing to my channel. I appreciate all my subscribers, because if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have a channel. And I do appreciate each and every one of you. Everybody has been really encouraging to me, offer kind words and support. And like I said, I couldn't do it without you. So I greatly appreciate you all. I hope everybody has, finish having a great week. And I hope you have a great weekend ahead. And please stay tuned for the video that I'm going to be putting out soon. So you guys take care, and I will see you soon. I am out of here.
She taught me how to be a good liar, a very good liar without any conscience.